Rasul Karim ma ba'd. The month of Ramadan is extremely close to us. I think we are just about 20 days away or so from the very, very blessed month of Ramadan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us enough so far the opportunity to benefit from the time for which we are sent in this world, that is to live for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that we can only do by doing the amal that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ramadan has a very, very special role in this thing. And one of the reasons why Ramadan has a significant role is that it was a month of the revelation of the Holy Quran. Not only that the Quran was started the revelation started in that month, but from Lawh Mahfuz down to the heavens of the earth, the Quran was transferred in Ramadan as well. And because of that, it's a month of thankfulness as well, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the book which guided us, and without which we would have been totally astray. Right? So as a blessing, and also to be able to bear the load of the book that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put on us, fasting is important. Why? Because the heavenly books, the Quran, the Wahi, has extremely high load, and one needs to have a lot of capacity and capability in order to bear and understand and follow the commandments of Allah Azza wa Jal. Take an example of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. When he asked for a book from Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him, before Allah gave him Tawrat, Allah made him fast for 40 days. So he fasted for 40 days before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the book. And fasting increases the capability or capacity of a person, right? So this capacity allows us to bear mujahida and bear hardships that are needed in following the commandments of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is obtained from fast. Right? Okay. So when we look at our elders from the past, the Salaf al-Salihin, we see that when the Ramadan would come, they would start preparing for Ramadan. And more and more activities, their activities were diverted to the preparation of Ramadan. And one might ask the question that how come it is that they need preparation? Because if their whole lives are already dedicated to the work of Deen, right? They were already spending, they were already teaching in madrasa, already teaching Deen, they were already involved in Dawat and Tabligh, all the while. How come they needed more preparation? And how come they need to spend special time in Ramadan when they were already, their lives were dedicated to the effort of the Deen? When we look into hadith, and we look into the life of Nabi Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and we look into the life of Sahaba Ajma'in, we see that they also adopted the same principle. Nabi Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when the month of Sha'ban would come, he would start increasing his fasting, and he would start increasing his. And when Ramadan would come, his Sha'ban would increase. And one of the reasons is that it is to develop the habits that are needed to perform more and more quality amal in Ramadan. Insan is a habitual being, and habits need to be developed. Because we haven't developed or made effort on our habits, when Ramadan comes, we find ourselves not being able to perform. The number of people in the first few days of Ramadan is very high in Tarawih, but gradually it will decrease. And then towards the last days of Ramadan, again the count of people increase that come in masjid for Tarawih. And that is because people find it so hard to do excessive, so many extra rakats, 50 rakats for Tarawih, which they are not used to the whole year round. So every Tarawih, we try to finish the Quran in 30 days or so. And every Tarawih is about an hour or an hour long. And it becomes heavy on people to actually bear the load of that extra ibadat and worship, just because they're just not used to it. And so this is what preparation actually means. So, and that kind of answers the question is, what do we need the preparation for? We don't need to buy food and, pakora and samosa and pulkian. That's not what is meant by preparing for Ramadan. Prepare lavish food for suhoor and for futur and stuff. But preparation is needed from the spiritual side, and Ramadan is a month of spiritual training and spiritual development. Okay, so that is the time to heal the soul from the effects of the sin. All right. So overhauling, a month of overhauling is, and that is why Ramadan is given to us to give us our soul's spiritual revival. Right. It is meant to remove the ignorance and the ghaflat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the love of the material world from our hearts, been tied all the time, all year round. And so Allah gave us this month. Okay, this is a month of retreat, a spiritual retreat. You seclude yourself from the world, right? It comes in the hadith that there's no rahbaniya in Islam. You don't cut yourself off, but time to time that rahbaniya, that seclusion, that cutoff is needed for spiritual revival. So i'tikaf is a form of seclusion and cutoff and rahbaniya of Islam. Jihad fi sabilillah, as hadith says, is a form of rahbaniya of Islam. So there are training programs given that provide the benefits of seclusion and cut off from the mainstream life, because it is indeed needed. Although in like previous other religions that people imposed on themselves, we don't go into seclusion for the rest of our lives. That's not the way Islam teaches. But because there is very, very high, benefits in seclusion, it recharges our spiritual battery, our qalb, which is a place of spiritual center. That qalb becomes heavy due to too much indulgence and involvement in material activities, in everyday activities, in communicating, in linking with, in socializing with people. That has a bad effect on our heart. All kinds of people, we get into touch with all kinds of people in our lives, right? Everyday activities. The mind drifts off to other things. All of that heaviness, all of that rust that gathers on our heart due to the ghafla and forgetting of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and ignoring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and indulging in people and talking about dunya and all of that thing, that rust needs to be taken off and rubbed off, and some process must exist, and that's exactly what Ramadan serves. And so if we don't do it, like and if we go away from this world, leave this world in just the same state without making effort on our heart, without cleaning our heart, right? How will we face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We will face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the state that Allah is not happy with us. And so this is one of the things of the preparation that is needed in Ramadan. First of all of us must try to take time out from our daily lives and dedicate more and more time of our day, of every day of Ramadan, to those amal that are prescribed. More and more ibadah, more and more zikr, more and more tilawat Quran. And one of the most liked and the preferred amal of Ramadan is excessive recitation of Quran, because Quran has a direct link with Ramadan. As I said before, it was revealed in Ramadan, right? So it is not. One should not say that 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 when we encourage people to take time off for Ramadan, sometimes you get a comment that Islam does not encourage Rabbaniya, and we need to. But we don't encourage Rabbaniya. We are engaged in our everyday activities all through the year. But this 1 month is a time where we should try to seclude ourselves, and that's where most of the benefit lies. So if you have vacations left in your account at your work, try to take your vacations in Ramadan. This is the time to take vacations, take time off, free yourself, so that more and more the mind can focus on Allah Azza wa Jal, more and more on ibadah. And among these nights is the night of Laylatul Qadr, the night which is better than 1,000 months. All right. So, so one of the preparation, try to take time off, take your vacation, and devote yourself to read recitation of the Quran, more and more nafil, the zikr. Try to seclude yourself from socializing. This is not the time to arrange iftar parties. That's the worst usage of the time of Ramadan. Cut down social activities in this thing. Connect more to Allah than to people. So makhluk, cut off from makhluk and connect with Khaliq. Second is try to observe itikaf in the last 10 days. I know people sitting in Western countries, they have difficulties in there, but we do have holidays in our accounts when we are at our workplace, and this is the time, as I mentioned, to take time off. If you cannot take the whole Ramadan off, focus on or try on getting the last 10 days off. Okay, tell them it's time for your religious activity, and they do take care of, they do realize, and they do try to accommodate Muslims for their religious activities. And so i'tikaf, is sunnatul muakkada ala al-kifaya. What that means is that in a community, if there's a masjid, then it is mandatory on the community that at least they devote one person, and they free him of the duties, and they put him in itikaf in the masjid. If none of the members of the community performs itikaf in the masjid, then the whole community is sinful of leaving the sunnatul muakkada. And that's why it's called Sunnah Muakkada al Kifaya. That means if a single person from community actually performs itikaf for all 10 days, it relieves the whole community from that, from the sin. And one must keep in mind that itikaf is only permissible in a masjid. So if you have a prayer place, like a temporary prayer place, like a musalla, a rented place or something, which is not a masjid, then itikaf is not valid in that. No kind of itikaf, sunnat or nafil, is valid in a musalla or a temporary prayer place. Even if it's a place that is purchased and owned by someone, but if it is not intended to be a masjid, okay, it is not declared as a masjid, you cannot do itikaf in there. So it has to be a masjid, and at least one member of the community must do itikaf. So that's where preparation need to be made, that we at least encourage one member. In our country, in Muslim country, there are many people in every masjid that are actually performing itikaf. But in Western countries, it does become difficulty because of the too much involvement in our regular activities. And we think we may feel difficulty in trying to take time off. It's not really that difficult, okay? And that's where encouragement need to be done. So third is habit formation. We need to recite more and more Quran. We find that it becomes so heavy in reciting Quran every day. Now you must remember that it is the right of the Quran to be recited twice every year. Okay, and that's very, very important. And so if you divide the number of pages of Quran for the whole year round, it comes out to be around 4 pages per day of recitation. But it becomes very heavy on us. So insan is a habitual being. We need to develop habits, and habits must be developed gradually. Okay, and it takes a period of time to actually develop some habits. Right now, we do have enough number of days. About 20 days is good enough if we make an intention, okay, and start making effort now. I can guarantee we can develop a good habit in 20 days. And I'm going to give you a few very, very practical steps in habit development. And that is, number one is fix a time. Number two, fix a place. And number three, fix a quantity. For example, we want to develop a habit of recitation of the Quran. So fix every day, fix a time of recitation, whatever is your convenience, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is. Number two, fix a place. Every day, come to the same place and sit down and open the Quran and recite. Number three, fix an amount of recitation. It doesn't have to be a whole juz or separa, or it doesn't have to be many 10 pages. Even when you start, it becomes very heavy. So fix like a couple of lines, for example. Talk to your nafs, all right? Encourage your nafs, and deal and negotiate with your nafs and say, okay, I'm only going to recite 2 lines or 3 lines, and then I'm going to stop. But when you start reciting, almost right away, you will feel maybe, hey, my 2 lines or 3 lines are nothing. I can actually recite half a page or a page, and you'll keep on reciting until half a page is done, or a page is done, and then you just finish your recitation. And every day you pick up a Quran and you negotiate with your nafs that, hey, I'm only going to recite a tiny amount, and that's it. In that fashion, very soon you'll find yourself that your quantity of recitation starts increasing from half a page to a page, and then to 2 page, and then 4 pages, to half a juz, and it could be more. But the principle is, the key points is 3 things: fix a time, fix a place every day, and fix a quantity. And don't exceed that quantity unless you really feel like doing it. Don't overdo it, okay? Because if you overdo one day and then the other day you just don't feel like doing it all, so that's not right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes consistent amal. Ahabbul a'mali ilallahi adwamuha wa in qalla. Nabi Pak said, close meaning is, the amal that is loved the most by Allah from his servant is that which is consistent every day, even though if it is a qalla, tiny bit, teeny mini bit amal, but it is consistent. That what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes. So Nabi Pak also used to prepare for Ramadan, increase his amal to develop that habit of doing more and more amal. All right. And remember, the preparation goes all through the year, and then it increases close to Ramadan. It's not like we are zero the rest of the year, and then Ramadan, all of a sudden, engines boost up, and then we start going at 60 miles per hour. That's not possible. That's why you see people coming to Tarawih the first few nights of Ramadan, a high number, and then the number drops because they get motivated initially, but then because they're not habituated, all right? They're not habituated to do that much ibadah. They find it becomes heavy on them, and the number drops. And then towards the end, again, more motivation comes up, and the numbers increase again. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. So, right, start from tonight or tomorrow. Follow my steps. Inshallah, I'll guarantee you'll develop a habit. Ramadan should be a month where we increase our effort. A whole year, if our effort in ibadah is of this level, then Ramadan should rise up, however much, but it should rise up. Okay, but take it slowly. Do it not for only this Ramadan, but do it with the intention that I'm going to continue for the rest of my life, not even rest of the year, but rest of my life. Consistent amal, and soon you will start liking. Similarly, if you want to develop the habit of reciting nafils, performing nafil salah, start with tiny, easy 2 rakat nafil every night or every day or whatever. Pick a time, okay? And then once you get habituated and your nafs starts liking it and nafs starts feeling comfortable with it, then you will desire automatically from inside you that I want to increase it. Maybe instead of increasing the number of rakat, then you should focus on increasing the length of rakat. And the quality of the salat is more important than the quantity. And that's what's going to be heavy on the day of Qiyamah. It's going to be weighed. The quality will increase the weight, not the number of quantity. All right. So that thing, habit formation, start from tomorrow. Follow my 3-step. Inshallah, you will find it works on everything. Start slowly this way and start with a little bit of quantity. This way, the mujahida, the nafs doesn't like to do good deeds, because our nafs our qalb is sick. This is a sign of sickness of the qalb. When we don't feel inclined towards the good deeds, this is a sign of sickness, right? If you cook very good food, biryani and nahari and so good food, tasty, and then you invite someone and say, look, I haven't eaten since morning, and it's now night, but I don't feel like eating. And you present very good, tasty smelling food, and the person says, I don't feel I don't feel inclined to eat it. Okay, then you conclude that that person is sick, because if you present biryani and other such good, tasty barbecued food, and the person hasn't eaten for a long time, and still don't feel the desire, that means that person is not normal, he's sick. Similarly, when our qalb or ruh is not inclined to do amal, it's sick. And sick people must be treated very, very gently and very, very carefully. All right, so start with slow, and that is the minimum mujahida that you must do on your nafs to bring yourself onto amal. Otherwise, there's no such thing as zero mujahida and all the benefit. That never happens. So everything is tied to mujahida, effort, sacrifice. And finally, the tarawih, go for tarawih and try to perform all 20 rakat of tarawih. All right. I know that's a debate. It's an unending kind of debate, and a long, unfortunate debate that has started about 8 rakat and 20 rakat tarawih. But the majority of the ulama of the ummat from the time of Rasulullah has always been performing 20 rakat of tarawih. There's no such thing as 8 rakat of tarawih. A group from not longer than 150 years ago has started this controversy and a divergence from the mainstream of ummah. I'm not going to go into the detail of the technical dalail and arguments about 20 and 8 rakat tarawih, nor there's a time for that, and nor this is the occasion for it. But I'm going to do with one little intellectual argument, and that those people who argue that it's 8 rakat tarawih, they also say it's a nafil, while the mainstream ummat says that it's not a nafil salat, it's a sunnat al-mu'akkada. It's sunnat al-mu'akkada. Okay, that is a mandatory sunnat. That if you leave a nafil salah, there's no sin on you. If you leave some nafil act, no sin on you. But if you leave a sunnat al-mu'akkada, a stressed sunnat that Rasulullah performed and the Sahaba after him performed most of the time, then you get sin for leaving a sunnat mu'akkada, right? Like I said, al-i'tikaf is a sunnat al-mu'akkada, but it's a kifaya. So we say, the mainstream ummat says tarawih is 20 rakat and it's sunnat al-mu'akkada, it's not nafil. Those people who claim it's 8, they also say it's not sunnat mu'akkada, it's nafil, optional. So you can do as many as you like. So when you say as many as you like, why don't you do 20? All right. So I'm going to present an argument of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu got into debate with a mushrik, an atheist, not a mushrik, an atheist who doesn't believe in akhirah, who doesn't believe in God. And eventually, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said, look, if God does not exist, as you say, then I don't have any problem. We are both on equal terms. We're not going to suffer. Neither you are going to suffer nor I'm going to suffer. The only thing is that would have spent a little bit of my time in mujahida in the dunya. But other than that, in the long term, we will both be dead and no problem with any of us. But if God does exist, as I say, then dude, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble, because you're going to end up in hell for forever and ever and ever, and I'm going to be in paradise. So in either case, I'm the one who is always in good standing, and you will be suffering. So same thing goes for this, dudes. 20 rakat, 8 rakat. If it is, as the other group says, as the later group says, it's nafil and it's 8. No problem with us, because we're doing 20. 20 covers 8 as well, right? And when it's nafil, you can perform any number. That's no problem, right? There's no account is not imposed. So if it is 8 and it's nafil, we are good to go. The 20 rakat mainstream guys, buddies, we are good to go. But if it is 20 and it's sunnat mu'akkada, man, the 8 rakat guys who claim it's nafil and who's performing only 8 and leaving 12 off, man, you guys are in deep trouble. All right. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open up your heart. All right. Don't get into debates and arguments, but ask Allah to give you guidance, to open up your heart to the right, and connect to the muttaqis and the pious people. And let may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy on us and accept us to become His wali, His awliya. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna awliya Allahu la khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun, that the friends of Allah are those, they are never, the fear never touches them, right? And they are always in a good state of heart and a good state of mind. They're never depressed, they're never frustrated, and they always are connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so yaqeen is needed for these things. Right? We do the ibadat, we do the amal with yaqeen, with conviction that whatever I'm doing, this has come to me from a solid chain, and that solid chain is consistent and is the right deen and right madhab. All right, inshallah. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so and start acting, jotting out the plan for Ramadan. These 20 days that are left are very, very golden and key days. Start preparing using the 3 point or 3 action items that I've given. And this is a tried and tested method. People have benefited from it, and it's you can use it to develop any kind of habit. The science of habit is very, very intricate, and Nabi Pak has emphasized habit development in lots of different ways. All right, there are several hadiths in which, in different styles, Nabi Pak has encouraged us to develop habits of things, and a good action goes through 3 stages. One must keep in mind 3 stages before perfection. Any good action, any ibadat, any hasana goes through 3 stages before it becomes perfect. The very first stage is mixed with raya, or show off. When we start doing something, there's a lot of raya and show off in our heart. Okay, but one should, although this is not good, but this is almost, it happens. All right, it's unavoidable at the beginning. But one should not get discouraged and should not stop the amal, because the amal will almost always go through this stage of raya and show off. Second stage, when a person successfully goes through this stage and continues the amal, it reaches the stage of habit. It becomes a habit, and then it's not heavy on the heart. Okay, the person continues to perform it, and it becomes anything habituated is easy to perform. Third, when you clear that stage of habit and becomes easy on the qalb, on the heart, it eventually reaches the stage where the raya is taken off as well, and you achieve ikhlas, and you achieve and start to strive for quality in that action. When you're doing something for Allah's sake only, when ikhlas comes, then you strive for quality. Okay, and that's when it reaches perfection. But it takes a good amount of time. One can never, or one should not expect that that they can reach the third stage very soon. It takes a long, long time, and that's where the trial and the test is. Okay, we continue whether we like it or not. Is whether it's heavy or it's light on us. Okay, we continue the amal and continue to strive and continue to beautify them. Remember that quantity is not important, but quality is. But that is for nafil. But for sunnat muakkada and faraid and everything, whatever quantity is fixed, that's also important. For example, 5 times salat, 5 times have to be there, right? You have to pray 5 times. 30 Ramadan or 29 Ramadan, you have to fulfill the count. So, but for nafil, the quality has to be given priority. So inshallah, we ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah accept our sitting here, our session, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy on us to implement and practice on this 3-point program that I gave for habit development, and enable us to get those good habits in us, and get our soul, get our heart, get our nafs habituated with the amal salihat that are needed, not just in Ramadan, but throughout our life. All right. So we need to populate the masajid as much in every day as we do in Ramadan as well. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy on all of us. آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله. If there are any questions anyone want to put on chat, I'll be happy to answer those. So I'll give a couple of minutes. Okay. All right. We'll just end the session, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.